computer. Thank you. Yeah, I hope you guys had a good weekend. It was a restful kind of inspiring weekend for me because my nephew's a nerd just like me. He's like literally cut from the same branch of the family tree. And he was basically, I'm curious, I'm going to bring this up in the mixer this week. He was telling me emphatically how I am missing the boat on, well, two things: NFT, because he's in that, he's a software engineer, so he's in that world. So I'm missing the boat on NFT. I need to get into it. He was talking about all these different ways it's going to change the world. And then he was also saying, and Uncle Fred, you need to be on TikTok. I'm like, I said, you know what? And like I told you, Troy, this is what I told him. I said, TikTok makes me feel like an old guy showing up at a 20-something rave, and you're just in the corner with your 19.
I can't do it. I can't, dude. I try watching TikTok, and to me, I understand how it works. It's kind of like the beginnings of YouTube. I just have no desire to be there or be inundated with that. And to be fair, I don't deprive myself, but I don't do a lot of media. I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't watch a lot of other podcasts. I don't listen to, I do audiobooks and my own stuff. If I got time, I'm out in the garage throwing pots or building something. I'm not doing that,
Yeah, me too. That was, it's the same argument or the discussion we had around building up the Twitch kind of presence, right? Because it's the long form thing doesn't fit for me personally. I love it and I totally admire the people that can do it, but the extreme long form stream of consciousness type content doesn't necessarily fit with the way that my brain works. My brain is more military, regimented, segmented, performance oriented, and it's hard for me to relax and chill, just be myself for hours at a time. I have a problem being myself, around my family. So
right.
around strangers that can see me and I can't see them, and they can comment on me, and it's a different kind of pill to swallow. So still haven't given up completely.
What I fear almost more than anything else is any kind of social backlash when you do something like TikTok or even YouTube or something like that, so everything you have to do has to be like, well, this is going to make everybody happy. So I don't want drama. I'm tired of drama.
The popular people are the ones that thrive on drama, right? And are controversial. Those are the videos that go viral. People doing controversial things or saying politically or otherwise polarizing things. That's what gets people's juices going.
Right. So, I know.
Yeah. Anyway, you just know, man. I told you, we're like Mortimer and whatever his name in the balcony in the Muppet Show.
No, it's not that. It's that we've played with all those other things that came before and realized they didn't go anywhere. And I'm not interested.
Yeah. It's like Steven's saying in the chat, he doesn't care about being popular, just informed. Yeah, I agree. It's got to have that. I want to be entertained and informed. I think that's the pill. In marketing, we call that wrapping it in bacon. Wrap the pill in bacon. So
right.
Statler and Waldorf. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Troy, let's get going.
I can make way more money doing one wedding or one engagement session than I could ever make trying to be socially popular and getting sponsors. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah. It's different. It depends on your superpowers and where your core competencies are, right? And your social and your personal network and all that stuff. There's a lot of different variables that go into whether it makes sense for you personally to pursue that area. It's definitely not for everyone, just like everything. So let's go ahead and start this. You ready to dive in?
Yep. I just got a text from Peter, so I had to text him the link. So let's see if he comes in. Oh, and since we're recording,
Mortimer,
I'll put it on the record. I can't text him the link. I have to email it.
through AOL.
through MSN.
You've got mail. Hey.
I was a beta
All
tester
right.
for MSN. Okay.
You were really?
Yeah.
All right, guys. I am in the photo critique area inside the Founders Club. I'm gonna go ahead and sort. I'm sorted by date created, right? That's what we want. Let's refresh.
We haven't done this in a month.
Yeah, I'm old, man. Come on.
Date created, yeah.
Hey, we're about the same age, right? So you're knocking on 55. You're knocking on being able to buy a home in a retirement community.
Yeah. I'm just at that point where I can say whatever I want in a grocery store and nobody looks at me twice.
No, you still look too young for that. You can't do that. You gotta look the part with your walker and all that stuff before you can get away with that.
You'll let me know when I'm there, right? You'll give me the heads up.
Absolutely. I will. I have no problem with that. All right. Get out of here. All right, here we go. Hey, you see this little thing they added to the UI? This little tab right here? You can now close that. Oh, look at that. Although they should have put icons over there for all the different menu choices or something, so that, there's a lot of wasted white space on the left there.
Yeah.
All right. First up, Stephen Scharf. What up, Stephen Scharf? He says, I'll build you a stairway to paradise. The Urban Explorer stairway in an abandoned building. Yeah, look at these. I love that stuff.
I do too. My image is over there, so I'm looking at it. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, these remind me, I know you're going to say something about black and white, high contrast, but this reminds me of like a shot that you'd see just a ghostly apparition slowly descending down the steps, with a flowing white dress that's inexplicably blowing in the wind, but there's no wind,
I love these shots. This is one of the things that when we take vacations and travel cross country, I look for this stuff. And we got up like in the Oregon, Washington, we drove up the coast. There's a lot of bunkers, like abandoned bunkers and things. And you walk through and door handles and handrails and chains. And it's just, I love all that stuff. I love that so much. In this image, I really like it a lot. Stephen, you did a great job. Couple suggestions here. One, keep it color. I would play with it in black and white just for the sake of playing with it, because I like black and white to play with. But definitely the color is great. That cyan and that yellow, I think, play off each other really well. Only a couple things would I fix. The triangle at the very bottom left corner in that little piece of concrete, if I want to get picky, I would clean that up. I would probably...
right here. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, the bottom left. Yeah, I didn't see your pointer, but yeah, bottom left.
Yeah, this
yeah.
Trying to do the annotation. Can you see it now? Yeah. That.
And then the sign that we have up at the top left side that's kind of sticking into the frame, I like the crop, but that sign kind of bugs me. So I'd probably take that little sign out. And then I really love how the light is hitting that right wall where the graffiti's at. So I would leave that alone, but I would probably burn down the handrail and the post so that it was slightly darker. Right. So that
all the yellow then basically.
Just the hot spots, like at the top of the post, it's brighter there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just there, right? So that your eye goes right to that graffiti, and then you kind of see the rest of the frame around it. So I feel like that really frames that graffiti really well.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. And you like the cropping of this and all that? I tend to like it. I think it's pretty spot on.
Yeah, I do. I feel like it's a very traditional portrait style on the thirds, crop where that post is my subject. And and I think that's great because it has this nice, wonderful detail. It's got, that yellow, and it's got all that texture, and how many hands have held on to the top of that thing as they wrap around the corner and go upstairs,
Mm-hmm.
Pre-COVID, I would touch that, but not now.
Are you wearing your rubber gloves whenever you leave the house? I I say that, but I am guilty of having rubber gloves in the trunk of the car for pumping gas. Sorry, that's what I do.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But very cool spot. Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So the vertical space in here, would you like, if you were to reshoot this or shoot it again, would you add more to it or leave it as is? Or what about, and then also a square looking kind of crop? Would you do something like that, like extend the left side over a little bit?
No, I mean, I like that negative space. I mean, you could crop the top down if you wanted to, but then it kind of pinches that graffiti a little bit. I mean, you could bring the top down so the graffiti, I see the graffiti as my main subject, right? So you could bring the top down to match the distance on the right of the graffiti, because that vertical space you don't need. However, it's not, it doesn't distract to me, and I feel like it shows me the space, right? Because then there's room for me to go up. So I like that
Yeah.
a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, it feels good. Yeah, I'm hoping there's a lot. I'm hoping that Steven has more of these images, variety from that location. These are great.
I'm gonna guess that Steven did not go in there and take one picture and leave. I'm gonna go on a limb.
I don't think any of us could do that. Yeah.
No, not in that place. All right. Let's see. Okay, next up is Karen Sweeney. Meanwhile, in Bikini Bottom.
I like that reference. That's fun.
What is that reference? I don't get that reference. It went over my head. Oh, I never watched SpongeBob. See, there you go.
Oh man, Kira grew up on that, so yeah, watched a lot of it. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So, what is Bikini Bottom? Is that a town or something that SpongeBob lives in?
Yeah, that's where they live. Yeah, that's their place where they live. Yeah, yeah. You had to have experienced it.
Yeah. Well, just real quick, speaking of animated things, if I don't know, Troy, I don't know, you don't like gore and violence all that much, so this may not be for you, but there's a new animated series out on Amazon Prime called what's it called? Invincible.
Oh, I haven't watched that.
It's drawn by the same guy who created all the Superman kind of animations, Jack Kirby. But yeah, go watch the first 2 episodes of it. There are 8 episodes. Watch the first 2 and then tell me what you think.
Depends on the context. I'm going back through Love, Death, and Robots because Netflix has the season 2 for that coming out on May 14th.
Oh, that's coming out. Okay, cool.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, we get so distracted. Okay.
I know.
Sorry,
Squirrel.
Karen.
Squirrel.
See, this happens all day long though. I see images all the time like, ooh, that reminds me of that scene in Aliens where the ship's flying away, all day, everything.
It's okay. We'll get over it. All right, back to the image. What do you think of this?
I dig the color. I think that purple color is really fun, and it's really neat. It really draws me in. It feels like the center of the image is not in focus though, and I'm wondering, it doesn't feel sharp. So I don't know if that's just because of the water or the lighting.
Yeah, it feels like the plane of focus might be about right here. Is it? Well, I can't tell because these are pretty. Can you see? You can see my cursor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, these that seaweed or whatever that is looks to be relatively sharp. You're right. This looks slightly fuzzy, but then again, look at the detail right here on these ridges. That's pretty sharp.
Yeah.
But then over here, this is not. See this? That's soft. It feels soft.
Yeah. And the top edge of that scallop shell is soft, but behind it, it's in focus. It's sharp. So there's something weird going on in there that's kind of messing with my head.
She may have shot it through glass. Maybe that's what we're seeing. There's distortions from glass that she's shooting through it or shooting it through.
Right.
Or
I
maybe
love the
she was
color
underwater.
harmony.
It could be disturbances in the water if she's underwater.
Yeah. I love the color harmony. The foreground feels a little bit hot to me. That orange tone feels a little bit too bright. So I would probably burn that down to draw my focus into the center of the frame and just see why it's not sharp in there. That's because that's kind of where the core of this image is dead center.
Yeah.
So.
Very cool. What do you think of the crop? It's like roughly a 4x3 crop.
You know, you could definitely crop this tighter, I think. The vertical space that we have up there, there's nothing in the frame there that's interesting. So I would say crop that down and just push into those shelves. I think that's where the story is.
Yeah, these are our stars right here. Everything else
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
supporting characters.
Supporting characters. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Very cool. Karen Sweeney, thank you, thank you, thank you. Next up is Mr. Jim Peters trying to get the last bit of pollen. Oh, that's awesome. Look at that.
Are they eating pollen? Is that what they get out of there?
Yeah.
I thought they ate the nectar. I thought they were
Or the nectar, yeah, and then they get pollen on them in the act of getting the nectar, and then they take it to the next plant, and the pollen falls off and pollinates.
Look at you, like in some type of ologist, whatever, something ologist,
botanist.
It's a really interesting shot because I don't see the hummingbird first. I see the flowers. You know, they tend to pop out to me first, and then I notice the hummingbird because it's a little farther down on the right, which I'm completely okay with. But just so long as that's your intention, is to, you know, see the hummingbird second. You know, and that might have to do with the crop. I
agree. Yeah, I think the hero of this, I believe, it's no way it could be the flower. It's the hummingbird, 100%, because we don't see hummingbirds that often. Catching them in flight like this is kind of a big deal because they're so ADD. Right. So then the focus, I think, and the exposure, however you want to say it, the hummingbird should be highlighted, and we're drawn to the most colorful thing in the shot, which is those flower petals, because they're bright and they're front and center. And then we look at him secondarily. I think, bring him up and push those back somehow. Maybe desaturate him a little bit, you think?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I'm looking at this and just thinking that I would probably do a selection on the red, and I would probably push the background down more and saturate those flowers, right, a little bit more, and give them a little bit more punch, because I think they can jump off the image a little bit more.
So you would bring the flowers out. You wouldn't.
Yeah,
because I feel like the flowers are competing with the hummingbird. I was thinking maybe bring them both out, and the story is, you know, both of them together, and you want bright, juicy, delicious looking flowers with someone consuming them.
Yeah, I mean, and the hummingbird doesn't, I mean, I can't tell on this image, the hummingbird doesn't look like it's tack sharp. You know, probably there's some motion in there. So to me, this image is about the flowers, and the hummingbird is secondary. So I would work on bringing those colors out, maybe a little more tonal contrast or saturation and clarity into those flowers themselves. Push the background down just a tad, create a little bit more separation in there, and then let the hummingbird be a surprise. You know, be like, oh my gosh, look, there's a hummingbird there.
Interesting. A little cherry on top, huh?
Yeah.
Huh. All right, chat. Sign off. Sound off. Looking at this image, do you think that the hummingbird should be emphasized and the flower is de-emphasized, or vice versa? I'm curious. Sound off.
Yeah, and to push this image even further, I would clean up all of that at the bottom. Like I would clone out that plant and that little cactus there. So we have just these pieces coming up there.
Yeah, and I love the cropping. So yeah, you would have to heal these out of here, because I don't want to lose any of this bottom space here. That would bring the bottom edge of the frame too close to the tail of the bird.
Yeah.
So Steven said he didn't even see the hummingbird. See, look at that. Yeah, so it's Amy your cherry on top. It is a surprise.
Nora says both. Yeah.
Both. Okay.
Yeah. And all three of those are the correct answer.
Yeah. That's very true. Speaking of Nora's Znotinas, waiting for the bees. Joshua says, I'd like to see the hummingbird more emphasized. Took me a minute to see it too. See, there you go. One for Team Hummingbird.
Well, here's what you do. You take that image and you edit it, one to emphasize the flower, one to emphasize the hummingbird, and you hang them next to each other. And that's your wall art.
Oh, yeah. Or make a
Yeah.
stereoscopic shot of it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Good.
exactly.
Compromise. Love it.
Exactly.
All right. Waiting for the bees from Nora's Znotinas.
I really love this. I love this so much. This is so nice, and it doesn't have anything to do with that amazing sloppy border that's on there, which
We see what you
which I
did there,
like.
Nora. You're so transparent, Nora. We see what you're doing.
Um, this image is just incredibly simple and subtle, and I know right where to look. It's inviting. It feels very comforting, and it's one of these kind of images that I would love to see hanging, like, in the den, or in a brightly lit room, big. You
Mhm.
just it's so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it feels like a shot that you'd see, like you said, printed huge on the wall of a really high class restaurant in San Francisco or something. It's just, and
yes,
all the people are milling,
yes,
down here in the foreground, all the people are milling about at their tables, but in the background, there's
yeah.
just giant, huge, and you got to look at it to like, what is that? I never see a flower that big for, and then boom, you're like, oh, wow.
You know what,
Uh,
it has this really wonderful appeal that, there's no goofy patterns that I'm trying to find, that are broken. Everything is very organic. The shallow depth of field shows me right where to look. I'm not confused. There's no distractions in there. A lot of soft
mhm,
curves and bends and things that just, it's very easy to look at. We know what it is right away, pretty much.
mhm. Yep.
So yeah, I don't have to. It doesn't strain my brain too much to enjoy it, which is perfect.
I agree with everything you said. The only thing that strained my brain, and Nora, I want to know what this is right there. I'm surprised Mr. Attention to Detail didn't see what that is. It looks, I know it's got to be organic because it's so tiny, but
Yeah.
it looks inorganic because it's got right angles on it. And I find myself staring at that thing like, what is that, a cinder block? It can't be.
Well, there was two things that I would suggest tuning this image with. I mean, to do to this image would be, one, remove that little spot you're
Yep.
talking about, and along the bottom near the left, there's one little isolated piece that's popping up, that's in focus. So if you go across the bottom to the left, it's the last little,
This guy?
no, across the bottom
Yeah, okay.
to the left, right
Oh,
there.
this.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep. See, it's that little nubbin that's popping up that's in
Mhm.
focus, but it's too far away from the rest of the flower, and it's against that. I would just take that out. Other than that, nothing else is interrupting the border, which I think is wonderful.
Get rid of that little photo bombing pedal down there or whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why you got to carry scissors with you when you're in the.
Oh, that's a click of a healing tool right there.
It is.
No
Yeah.
need to harm the flower just for your photo. You know what? Your arm. Sorry, sir, but your arm is in my shot. I gotta amputate.
Well, some people, like, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. Hey, whatever it takes, right? You gotta make it happen. Cool. All right, Nora. Thank you. Next shot is up from Armando. Armando's in the chat too. He says for the
Hey.
open critique, Florida.
Oh, nice.
That's Florida? Wow. I've never been to Florida.
I
Not
haven't
even. Well,
either.
actually, yes, I have. I visited old Scott Kelby out there once, but it was a trip to their studios and then back same day. So I never got a chance to see anything like this.
Right. This is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really love those shapes a lot. And it's very non-traditional for Armando to give us a black and white image. So I love
Mm-hmm.
that he's
Mm-hmm.
deviating.
And he's in
Um,
Florida. So the shots in Florida.
yeah.
If it's
Yeah.
the Florida that I know, it's the one that's on the East Coast of the US. So I'm sure there are other
Yeah,
places named Florida in the world. That's the only one I know.
maybe. No, I love this a lot. I love that composition and the little window that it's giving us in between those rocks along the horizon. I love the fact that there is a brighter spot there. that draws my eye in and just kind of wants me to feel like I want to pass through there. The only thing I have to say is that there is a clear halo around the rocks, especially the right rock and the left rock in the water. And that's just due to, you know, clarity or dehaze being pushed too far. Yeah. Or something, some kind of masking issue.
So just this edge here, right, along the rocks.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is super, super easy to fix in Photoshop. Just use a clone brush, set it to darken, and you're just going to go right along where that halo is, and you're going to clone from the sky into the halo. And because the rock is darker than the sky or the area next to it, it's never going to affect the rock. It's just going to replace the tone in that halo. And it'll look completely natural. It'll go away super fast, 2 minutes.
Nice. Yeah, you gotta get really good with those blend tools, right? Because they kind of like the luminosity masking stuff. You know, once you understand what's going on there, you can never not use luminosity masking when you see a problem that could easily be solved with luminosity masking. Same with the blend tools, because they seem like just this stack of like really weird random things to your image kind of tools, and we tend to just jump right over them. But if you take a minute to understand the math that's going on and how you apply that math to your photo, I think, you know, then you start seeing the power, and your skills get that much better than the person that ignores all the tools, you know, those blending modes.
Yeah. And you know, in the blend mode, there's really 3 that are even worth focusing on, and that's lighten, darken, and multiply. You could literally ignore the rest, learn them when you need them, but if you can just do lighten and darken and then multiply after that, that's it. There's so much power.
Absolutely. I would love to see a well done tutorial or a series of tutorials that just explores each blend mode in depth and illustrates what the math is doing, and just so that in kind of normal like PBS terms, you know, just explain this is what's happening when you apply multiply. It's doing this, it's multiplying these pixels and give you a result, you know, and darken's doing this and all that. I want to see that.
Right.
Get on that,
I don't care about
you
the
need
math.
to make it happen. You need to make it happen. When you're done with the thing that you're working on now.
I could cover three of those blend modes, but not the rest. The rest of them confuse me.
Yeah. And I just want to know. I mean, those 3 I understand, but I really, really want to understand the rest. You know, just even though I never use them, I just kind of want to know what they can do. That's just that's the nerd in me. All right. Thank you, Armando. Armando says, Troy, the effect in this case was the sun, but you're right. I can try to clear it. Yeah. So that halo effect was actually natural, is what he's saying. If it's backlit, yeah, I see you're looking. Yeah, down here.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, with the light. I don't know. That's a tough one.
That's not natural.
You don't think that's natural?
No. The sun is coming from our camera right, behind the camera to the right. So it might create an edge like that, but on one rock, not both of them. And certainly not the rock to the right, because that side of the rock is in shadow. So there's no way that you're going to get light to backlight the edge of the right rock that's in shadow. And the sun is not on the horizon.
Down here as well, right? So down at the bottom, that light line between 2 dark areas. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. So how do you get a light highlight like that between 2 dark areas? Normally you see that when it's reversed. I don't know.
Or edge lit. I mean, if the sun was setting on the horizon behind the rocks, you could definitely get those things edge lit, and you can get a glow around the edge of those rocks. But one of the things that's really telltale sign here for me, Armando, is if you look at the water, the center of the water itself is darker. And then as I start to get closer to the rocks, it gets lighter. And so there's been some heavy manipulation in there. You know, obviously I don't have the file and I didn't photograph it, so I don't know. I can only go off what I see. So either way, we're nitpicking, right? We're talking about the last 2%.
Yeah, Yeah, well, that's the whole point. We're supposed to nitpick. This is the one time you get to nitpick on other people's work. You can't go into this level of detail on just like normal photos. You have to have been given permission to nitpick in order for it to be politically correct.
Yeah, and let me just be fair. I am as hard or harder on my own work. Okay, so it's my own stuff I'm terrible at. I don't like my own work, so I would rather look at all of your work.
Luckily, a lot of people do like your own work, Troy. So
yeah,
it means you can eat tonight. All right, Michael Brown is up next. He says, for the open critique, American Robin. Look at that little person sitting right there.
Nice. That dude needs to wash his beak.
He does. He does.
Look at that. Oh,
but hey, you know, do you want to have a beak and have it look pretty, or do you want to have a full breast? Just saying. So yeah, that's cute. I love robins. I haven't seen robins. Robins aren't indigenous to California, are they? I very rarely see a robin around here. There's only just pigeons and crows and vermin like that.
They're
and ducks.
They're very Midwest. I know that they're very Midwest. So I don't know. I don't know a lot about the bird stuff.
Hey, Armando put a link in the chat. He said this is a great video about all the blend modes. Thank you very much.
Oh, cool.
That is now being dragged to my desktop for later consumption. Thank you.
I love this image. I think this is really, really wonderful. And I'm so glad that the highlight in the background is behind the tail, which is darker, which is wonderful. And in the face is against a darker background, so that it stands out and the breast stands out and the eyes and the beak and everything like really pop. So I'm glad that the tonality in the background is working that way for us. Yeah. And I appreciate that it's in focus all the way across. You know, tip of the tail to the tip of the beak. I think that's really amazing. Like that's really wonderful to do with the bird. So I dig it.
Yeah, I gotta take a second to just acknowledge that just gorgeous bokeh back there. That is just outstanding. I just love that. I love how shallow depth of field can take any background and just blur the colors together to give you something abstract that your subject just pops right out of. That's so cool.
Yeah, it. Absolutely. I would probably burn down the post ever so slightly, a little bit more. I mean, it's in focus and I like that, but I think it's the same tonal levels as the birds. I'd take that down. And then to the right in the lower right-hand corner, we just have this semi-harsh transition from a shadow to a highlight. I would just blend that edge. I wouldn't take the highlight out or anything. Yeah, just that line. See that line, that horizontal? Yeah, I would just blend that and just soften it. So it doesn't have that hard transition, because the rest of the background is very, very, very soft.
How would you do that? Would you just create a selection around that and then blur the selection and then do a Gaussian blur on that area?
No, because that'll blend the pixels, and you don't want to blend the pixels. What you want to do is, what I would do is I would create a new layer and I would use the healing brush. And basically it's like a content aware fill, right? And then Photoshop does all the math and will blend those edges together nicely while maintaining your pixels or your grain structure, because you don't want to smudge the grain. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you want to maintain, because blurring, a Gaussian blur would just destroy all that, and you'd have an an obvious looking area in your image that doesn't match the rest, completely destroying what you were trying to do.
Yep.
All right, and you know what? I'm gonna put you on the spot, Troy, literally and figuratively here, because normally your brain finds stuff like this, and you missed it.
I didn't miss it. No. No. You know, some things are worth talking about a lot, and then other little things, you know, we got to let it go for the sake of time. And
sure.
You know, there was a speck on Armando's I didn't point out. You know,
Chat, I'm gonna call BS on Mr. Meticulous attention to detail right there.
No. Hey, go back to Armando's. I'll show you the spec on his.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see. Let me clear these annotations.
It's just above the water on the right-hand side, just underneath the rock. There's a black dot.
Just above
Down.
the water on the right-hand
there,
side.
right there.
Oh, that.
Right there. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I see what you're talking about. That is not a spec. That's a climber hanging. They're hanging off.
Okay, but I saw
it's Tom Cruise rock climbing.
All right, whatever.
Whatever. Cool.
I see all that stuff.
All right, we'll see this one by Michael Rhino. He says, a photo of our tulips during an early morning rain, shot with a Nikon D50 with a lens baby, Velvet 85. Love that lens. Look at that.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, that is so painterly and soft and just, yeah, relaxing.
Yeah, I love the tones in this. I do wish though that the tulips that were in focus that are in the foreground, that we had more of them.
More of the stem. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, just drop down slightly lower, bring that tulip up and let the rest of them kind of fall. You know, either way, it's very abstract. Or take the whole thing out of focus. Right? You could just take this. Yeah, this whole thing could be soft.
Yeah. You know what I even like? I was kind of thinking about it. I was looking at it thinking, man, gotta rotate this thing to the right a little bit so that they're all pointing straight up. And then I thought, no, what flowers grow straight up? That's exactly the way flowers should be doing. You should be leaning towards a light source or something.
Yeah.
Or in the direction that the wind naturally blows in that area.
Yeah, this is really wonderful though. It's very abstract. I love that. I don't know what the focal length is of this lens, but it feels like it's a little bit longer focal length, or you know, because we're getting a lot of compression in there. So the tones of the images in the background, the flowers are the same size as you know, the flower in the foreground that's in focus. So I feel like they're kind of competing for attention.
Yeah. So how would you correct that? To make him to bring our hero out, just add more saturation to the foreground and slightly less to the background.
Well, in post, I think it'd be a challenge. I think that, you know, maybe blurring everything the same and just calling it an abstract would be nice. You could crop it, you know, a little tighter on the main tulip and have just a few out of focus in the background.
So kind
of, I don't know. I don't dislike it, but I'm just.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I think I like it like it is. I think the only thing that I would, if possible, would be to have just a little bit more on the bottom here, so that these guys, because I can see a lot of stem on the ones in the background, and these feel like I want to see a little bit of more of their stem too. And like you were saying, if I could get more on the bottom, I would probably crop up a little bit like that.
Yeah.
So that these guys back here are just supporting background characters, and we have some that are slightly more in focus, and then our heroes right here with a little more stem there.
Yeah, and I like the crop that you just did, because I think I'm going to assume that Michael made an effort to keep all the background tulips in frame, so we cropped just above them. But I think cropping them off is actually creating sort of a more solid background to contain the frame. And I like that better, you know, so then it's really a lot of that tulip color in there, and it really highlights the main character in our lower right-hand corner.
Yep. Our hero. You see there's a little water on there? See a little water right there? Yeah.
Yeah. I would struggle with leaving that. I'm not quite sure if I would leave it or take it off or not.
Because it's not enough, right? So you'd want more water on here, so we know that it's water, not kind of something that you kind of catch if you look closely.
Yeah, and a lot of times, you know, to be fair, I'm not exactly sure what it is about an image that I like or don't like. Even my own stuff, I'll look at it and be like, I'm not sure I like the water drop. So I might edit them and take them out and see how I feel about it after. And sometimes, you know, the element you took out needs to be there, but you have to take it out to see it.
Yeah. Very cool.
But it's
good
great.
shots this week, man.
Good job, Mike. I know.
All these shots, all of them. All right. Next up is Joshua Summerfelt. Oh, this is where I left that flower. Shot with his Canon EOS RP with a Sigma. I interviewed the Sigma guy. What do you guys hear that interview I did with Sigma? The Sigma 150 millimeter 2.8 with a lot of letters. We talked about all these letters that Sigma goes to town on. We had a discussion about that. Why? We know what they mean, but he described what all these letters mean. But I was challenging as to, do you really need all that on there? Like, do we?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm not a huge Sigma shooter anymore. I just don't have much of their glass, but I do know they make good stuff.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get Joshua sponsored by Sigma. He's got like 15 of them or something.
There you go. There you go.
I do love this shot. I do love this. At first I looked at that bee and I thought that square was a reflection. That bright spot on his head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was a reflection. I thought, I gotta zoom in because I don't have these bees here.
Yeah, we don't.
I dig that.
What kind of bee is this, Joshua? Joshua, do you know what species of bee this is?
Of course he does.
And look at him. You notice he's antenna challenged right there.
It's just laying back.
No, it's gone.
He's listening to two stations at once.
You got it. He says it's a southern carpenter bee. Look at that.
Oh, nice. I dig the color combination. I love how clean it is and how sharp it is. I think that I would probably try to tone down the specular highlight on the plant itself on that green because it looks like it was hit with a strobe or it had some light on it. And I feel like the plant itself, some of that specular highlight, Oh,
you're talking about like down in these areas down here?
Yeah, not a lot, not a ton. But just kind of pull those down just a bit so it didn't feel like there was a lot of light coming in on that. But other than that, I mean, I dig the angle of the bee. It's very unique perspective as opposed to just sitting on top of a flower. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoy that. Yeah, I really like that.
Do you think there's anything that can or should be done about this specular highlight right there?
That I struggle with that. It's one of those kind of things. Like if you take it out, I don't know that it's going to look like if the head or the eyes are going to look rounded.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's adding dimension.
I don't know. Highlights can be really, really tough because they can be distracting. But if you take them out, then you lose the dimensionality in things. So I would play with it. Tune it down a little bit, try to bring some detail in there from some other areas, take it out, see how you like it. If you don't like it, I'm assuming that Joshua left it in there on purpose because I know his work is very intentional. So it doesn't bother me though.
Yeah, I was looking at this shot and I was thinking looking at it just right now, and I'm thinking, does the brightness, because we talk a lot about the brightness values in a shot and how your eye is obviously going to go to the brightest or most colorful or words or whatever in the shot first. So I'm thinking about this area and I was thinking, is it competing with the bee? But then you take a step back and I think that tells a story from just an overall compositional standpoint. The flower wants the sun to do its thing. The bee wants that flower to do its thing, so yeah. So cool. I actually really like it. And that bokeh, again, these long lenses, man, these lenses kill me.
Yeah. No, it feels natural being outside. I feel like this is an outside shot, right? Like it's in nature and that natural light coming in, I think that's good. And we've got some sophisticated light in here. It's intentional, and I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Well done, Mr. Summerfelt.
Good job.
What lens was that again? 150 millimeter, yeah. 150 millimeter alphabet soup lens.
Macro.
Yeah, all you need is the macro.
Yeah.
All right, who's up next? Mr. Mark Harris. Look at this. For the open critique from a session this past week with a model, Perrine Marie, with whom I will work again. Yes. Nice. Looks like Sinead O'Connor in this shot.
It does a little bit. I love that pose. I mean, I really dig that scene. It's very unique. It's very different.
Spider-Man.
It is a little bit, yeah. But one of the things that I really enjoy about this shot is how comfortable the subject looks on the stool, right? Like the hands aren't gripped super tight. It doesn't look like they're about to fall off. It feels like something they've done before. It feels natural.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I like that. You know, I like that a lot. I like the treatment. The black and white is wonderful. The only thing that I'm struggling with are just 2 points. One, the subject's left ear, camera right, I think is too hot. I think that needs to be brought down just a bit. The mask of the face, the cheek is fine. And then it doesn't seem like critical focus is on the face. It seems like the critical focus is actually below that, like on the arms.
Oh yeah, because
So
we see detail like in that little imperfection. Yeah. Like
yeah.
probably like around her knee area.
Well, on her chest, below her chin, for example, like her
Mm-hmm.
sweater, the sweater address is more in focus than the face.
Yeah.
And I wish that the face was more in focus. That would be great.
Yeah. I think I'd want to see this removed. It's a little bit distracting. Take that out. Otherwise, this is, you know, everything you said. No further comments beyond that. But when I look at shots like this, these abstract shots are, you know, in a different category completely because they're not intended to depict reality. Because you know you're not going to go to a Starbucks and see someone doing this on a stool, or you know the cops would be coming. So when I look at these, or will you? Yeah, well, this is California, so. But I look at shots like this, and I instantly, my brain, maybe it's just me, but my brain goes to, okay, why is she doing that? Right? Even any kind of abstract shot where women, you know, people are intertwining their limbs and doing all this crazy stuff for the shot. I always think, why? You know, what's this? Because I'm trying to build a story in this shot. Like she saw a rat in the kitchen in the
And I agree. I do agree with you. For me, unlike some other poses, I think that are just weird because you can bend that way. This to me feels very artistic and in sort of a performance type of style, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this may be like a stage performance or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's where my brain goes with this. So I don't feel like it's completely odd or bizarre with weird contortions for the sake of them.
Mm-hmm.
It feels natural and I
Yeah.
dig it.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I do
but you're
too,
right.
and I think I like the crop on this because the fact that she's scrunched up on that chair like that and confined by this box that's pressing in her, it's
Yep.
working, right? So the pose works with the crop, and it makes you feel like she's constrained in this small space, which leads to the story, and maybe that, you know, part of the
Right.
story on a shot like this is feeling confined and feeling, you know, tied up and with no options, you know, that kind of feel, because
Right.
it's almost equidistant in the crop all the way around, like right here to
Almost.
here to here.
Right.
Here there's a lot. Yeah,
Yep.
this is, you'd want this cropped a little bit right
Yep.
there, so it's exactly equal.
Yep.
How
And
did
the
I know
reason,
that?
and to me, that shows intention.
Mm-hmm.
You went through all this time of photographing it and editing it and converting it and lighting it, and they did the pose and everything. So the final presentation, you know, deserves as much intention. So, you know, make the gap around her body exactly the same everywhere, hands
Yeah,
to edge,
so
knees, head to edge.
so
And that's
there's your,
gonna,
about like that, right?
yeah,
Close,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah. And that's just that little
Yeah,
final touch.
or even going tight, right, and do something like this. Wait, let's clear this.
Now, another way to present this image,
Like that,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Another way to present this image would be to put the subject just in the lower left-hand corner, like just off of thirds, maybe like where the golden ratio spiral would start, and the rest of the frame would be all black. So they're a very
Oh
small
yeah.
subject in a very big space. And that would add a lot of emotion to this, a lot of isolation and loneliness and stuff, you know, if that's where you're going with that. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. Fun. Gotta love
All
this
easy
stuff,
to do
man.
in post.
Yeah. Yeah, especially on a shot like this. You can add as much space as you want around this because you've got that background.
Yep.
Very cool. And next up is Eric Pronsky. He says, balanced rock Big Bend, 720 nanometer converted infrared camera taken a few weeks ago while hiking with my son in Big Bend National Park in Texas. Nugent Mountain is the peak scene in the background. All right. What do you shoot this with? Shut it. Oh, geez. See, we're getting these the data about what the shot was done with is turning into a formula. Look at that. It's almost a mathematical.
I know.
Square root of 200 millimeter with 720 nanometers shot. What do you think of this shot? You've been out here, right? Or no, you haven't been to this area, but you've been to Arches here, right?
Yeah, it feels a lot like Joshua Tree or Arches National Monument, you know, those kind of places. I love the black and white. I love the treatment. It feels wonderful. I mean, it's great. I love that balance and sort of the picture frame of the background in there. Yeah, it's just, Amy said, you know, love the framing. I dig that. It's a frame within a frame, you know, a window within a window. And that's just so much fun. And you have to see that and be able to you know, to composition that properly at the time. And I think it's well done. I even love how there's a little bit of clouds in the frame, in the inside picture, right? But not on the outside picture. Even though I get it, it's natural. It's just sort of another little treat for us in there.
Yeah. If Craig Colvin had shot this, he would put a naked woman right up here on the top or down here. Yeah.
Yeah, in the lounge chair right there, in the lounge chair.
Yeah.
Sitting there.
Would you do you see a scenario or a crop in this shot that would lend itself to something like this? Where you
definitely
emphasize?
Yeah, I would play with that. The problem with that is then you get that trap in the top right-hand corner. So if you had more rock there, that would be an easy crop to play with.
Oh, that's easy. You could just put this rock over here.
You could
rotate it, and you know it's fine.
Yeah. No, I think that what we have there is wonderfully done. I think that it's you know, it's got one of the best crops that we could handle. I think the highlights are a bit hot. And that's very common of infrared. You've really got to watch, you know, where that light is falling. You know, don't worry so much about recovering those shadows because it's infrared. Shadows are going to go dark. But definitely want to bring down those highlights. So you could do some luma masking in Capture One, or just bring the overall exposure down, or something like that. Would really help. But I would definitely bring down those highlights.
Yeah. Yep. It's crispy.
I know. I like it.
All right.
I feel like I have images similar to this, right? Like this is something I would create. So it's really appealing. Yeah, I like it.
Okay, and that was Eric. Thank you, Eric Pronsky.
Yep. I think we have
next up is Amy Brooks. Before the Sun. I like this one a lot. That is so cool. This. There's so much to like about this shot. I love the color palette. For some reason, this even matches the color palette of the Founders Club.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I like it. Maybe this, Amy, you should give me permission to use this as the hero image for the Founders Club.
Yeah, this is really cool. You know, I love the fact that bright spot is right where the water drops are, and right where the branch itself starts to come into focus. And I know Amy saw all that on purpose, and I mean that seriously. I mean, it's a credit to your vision of being able to see that and focus on that. So, you know, kudos to you for doing that. The only thing that I would do is I would crop it. I'm not a fan of that lower left corner, and I would crop off a portion of the left and a
They feel
good
about right,
portion of the I don't see. Yeah, I would crop off probably half. Yeah, higher on the bottom, a little
Oh, you
tighter.
would go. Oh, you would go even tighter than that. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I would crop off the ends of those two that are dropping down into the left corner. I would come in even tighter.
like
And the reason
this.
is even tighter on the left
Tighter.
and bottom. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. So not
Yep.
bad.
Yep. Yep. Something, yeah, something in that range. And the reason that I say that is because then what it does is it's only about the center and it just starts to fall off at the edge of the frame, right? Because right now, those other pieces, they fall off, they go out of focus, and then they turn into this sort of abyss. And there's really nothing interesting at the bottom half of the frame. So I think it's great, like right where we start to lose focus at the bottom all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought.
Yeah, I agree. Because she's de-emphasizing the outside the crop area here anyway. With looks like it's vignetted a little bit, either in post
Right.
or naturally, and it's falling out of focus. So the artist is already saying, nothing good to see down here. Look up here, right? So just crop it off and give us more to look at and more intentionality about bringing us into those water droplets, which is where it looks like the party's at in this shot.
Yeah, exactly. So I just did a quick screenshot. I didn't even think about doing this stuff before, and I just threw it in the chat of where with the crop that I like. But anytime
cool.
that I have shallow depth of field or things that start to heading towards the edge of the frame and fall out of focus, my goal is like, oh, once you've started to fall out of focus, I only want a little bit, and then the rest of you I don't need, right? Because it falls out too far.
Mm-hmm. Just a hint to let the viewer know that from about right here, it falls out of focus. And beyond that, you don't really need to be so literal about it. Yeah. But even, all that said, with doing the crop that you did and the one that I drew on here, I like it like this too. I really don't mind this because it gives me this whole feeling of being drawn into like the black hole. It's like I feel like my eyes are naturally going into something interesting, and I'm rewarded at the top of the frame with all that saturation and contrast going on up there where there's very little down in the edges of the frame. So
correct. And I was going to mention it too. I think Amy made the comment, I'd clone out the aberration at the top. Like right at 12 o'clock, you've got this little finger coming in at the very top of the frame.
Oh, this?
Nope, to the left, just a little bit to the left.
This
right there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would probably take that out. I don't think that really serves us, and I think it sort of interrupts more than it needs to. But what a really cool looking plant. I love the way that those leaves kind of fan out, and then the way the branch splits and then it curves back. This would look great in infrared, by the way, when you get your camera. Yeah, amazing.
Amy, did she order an infrared camera?
Yeah, it's probably at her. She said it's at her house right now, sitting on the porch.
Oh, and where do you live again, Amy? I need to go make an errand real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. She said she did clone out that little aberration after she submitted. Cool. And she said the leaves close up after about 9 a.m. Nice. Night owls.
Oh, wow. So I would never see them open.
You would never see. You don't see half of your planet, Troy. You you sleep through all the good stuff.
I would try. If I was hanging out up there and Amy said we had to get up and go to the woods, I would get up. So
yeah, no, for sure.
Just once.
Cool shot, Amy Brooks. Thank you. All right. And I think that was it. Yeah, that's the last one. I believe. Yeah, because this one was part of the last critique, right? 1 month ago, Karen Sweeney. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, that's the last one. So let me stop the share here. Do you have a favorite?
I have many. I have so many. I have so many favorites in this selection. I'm really torn between Nora's, that Waiting for the Bees, and Amy's. I'm really torn between those two. I think Nora's is probably a little bit more my favorite because there's less things in it that I would fix. If that's a, oh, Peter submitted a late one. Of course he did.
Oh yeah, we have to go through the rest of them. Yeah, wait, before you start giving your
That's
comments.
fine. It's still going to be Nora's. I'm just.
You don't even know what Peter submitted. Come on.
It's Peter. We can disqualify him. It's fine.
Because he's late. Hey, no one sent them the link. Come on. And it's not loading. Come on, Peter. There we go. Uh-oh. Look at that. Coming up for an upset. It's Peter Levshin.
No, it's nice.
Look at that. That is beautiful. That is really beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, that is cool. The bird of paradise. Like they photograph really interesting. I mean, you know, they're those bright oranges and purples, and then in infrared, you don't see any of those color. You just see all those shapes, which I think kind of get lost in the colors. So, yeah, I really dig it. This is something to be aware of when you're working with images and you're working with dark backgrounds and things, that what you might see on your monitor as pure black may not actually be pure black. And so then when they get uploaded or printed, sometimes some of those subtle tones tend to pop out, and that's what happened with one of Mark's images, and so what's happening here.
Yeah, you see, yeah, I see that. Yeah, now you say that, like all you can see the kind of tracks of cloning right in there.
Yeah, the
and over here, right? And there's some up here. Yeah. So that black, how do you catch that on black on your display? Like, what would you do to make sure that your blacks are actually black?
So if you're in Lightroom or Capture One, just grab the exposure slider or the brightness slider, and you can move that around, and you can see it. It'll come up, right? You'll see the background come up faster or slower. If you're in Photoshop, you can create a curves layer and really manipulate the curves, and you can kind of watch how the background comes up. You want to open up the blacks, and you'll see certain areas open up first. The best thing to do is to mask it, pick one color, and make sure you paint it in the entire background. Because if you don't, then you're going to get slightly varying values of black. And it could be off just a few points, and you'll see it.
And you would see this when you printed this as well. So if Peter let this go to press in a book, he would it would be bad news.
Oh my gosh. I have an image of an infrared image of a jellyfish, and it had detritus all around it, like little flotsam and stuff, like feathers and things. And I went in and cloned them all out, and I thought I was super clever, and I printed it, 20 by 30. And I could see every place that I cloned something, because nearly black and totally black are not the same thing.
That's right. Yeah. And when you put them right next to each other, it's easy to tell. Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool. All right, Peter Levshin.
Great image. But like I said, Nora.
You know what? This is going to have to go to the audience, because I like Amy's, I think, and the reason is I like saturation. I like the color green, so it might be subjective. So chat, I'm going to need you to chime in and tell us what you think. Oh, you know what? Before we do that, let me look in the other areas in the community, see if we haven't missed any critique images. So let's go back out to here and into this photo critique. Yeah, I think we're good. Nora, unless you saw something somewhere else, I think that's it. Let's go back into the network, into Founders Club. Oh, let's go. Wait, let's check the other topic real quick.
Yeah.
This photo critique topic, right? 5 hours ago. There you go. Yeah. Sort by date created. Yep. So there's one. Yeah. So Freddie Sedano. We caught it. Here we go. Yeah, I remember seeing this one come through. For some reason, when I saw this, I didn't even look at the name. I instantly thought it was Mark Charette.
Yeah.
Well, it's a Mark Charette shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Freddie does those. Yeah, these are really cool. These tiny planet images are pretty cool, and I like the fact that it's surrounded by clouds, so it does kind of have that sense of, you know, it's floating and things. It is hard to see what's in the center of the image, though. It's hard to identify what it is if you don't already know.
Yeah, I was staring at it, or I'm staring at it right now. I actually saw this yesterday, and I was thinking that it looks like a top-down view of some sort of silo or water tower.
Right.
That's the only thing. It looks like it's in a neighborhood. I can see the driveways and the houses over to the right over here. So I doubt if it's a grain silo. So if it's in this kind of area, it's probably a water tower or some other kind of thing that these people that live here wish wasn't there.
Yeah. I wonder, you know, it looks to me like the sun is at the bottom, and I wonder if it wouldn't help this image to flip it so that the bottom was on the top, right? So it would give us that additional illusion of, you know, the sun being at the top, right? Like, which is feels a little bit more normal. But no, I like it. It's hard for me to see within the in the image itself what I'm looking at, right? And so I see the tower. I see, you know, maybe there's some shadows in there, but other than that, I don't really know what's going on. But I do like the feeling of it, right? I love all the clouds.
feeling is interesting. You know, the thing that's a little distracting. I know we're running over a little bit, folks. We'll wrap up in just a second here. But we're looking at a round, equirectangular image that's wrapped. I think that's what Mark taught me, the style of images. So you see these straight kind of the strata that are kind of on this axis like this. And then I look right here and I see these that are kind of on that straight axis. And these kind of look similar, but then in here, these are highly distorted and spherical around that. So my brain is thinking, yeah, the spherical should be all the way out to the edge. If it's going to be spherical, why do we have what looks to be kind of normal-ish looking clouds up here, and here sort of stretched a little bit, but here they're completely distorted there. And then also, like you said, the orientation of the content in the middle doesn't really matter that much because of the effect that we have going on here. So you could rotate it to put the sun at the top, which would feel more natural to us humans to have the sun at the top versus at the bottom. And then I don't know how I feel about the sun flare right there. I think it might be okay. I don't know. It's just I think the most distracting thing for me is those clouds. I saw the shadow here and I thought it looks like a World War II bomb or something.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It does. It has that profile for sure.
It does. Yeah. So
very cool.
Cool. Thank you, Freddie Sedano. All right, folks in the chat, if you let's clear all the drawings.
Look, between Nora and Amy,
this is democracy. This is democracy.
It is not. It is not.
What is it when you have? What is it when you have an autocracy that pretends to be a democracy?
That's a cult.
That's a cult. Amy's abstaining. Yes. Joshua says Amy's. Anybody else? Anybody else have the cojones here to chime in? Or are you all scared? Come on, don't be chicken.
They want you to pick, Frederick. They want you to pick.
You know what? For this, since we're just coming back and this is the first critique of this season, I think we go with both because we like them for different reasons. Every now and then we have the split decision. So it's a split decision. Congratulations, Amy and Nora. You guys are the favorites. I think they're both fantastic images that would look stunning if blown up if printed or at almost at any size, right? They'd look amazing, but I would love to see both of those wall size. That'd be ridiculous.
And they could hang next to each other in the same collection and they would work.
Yeah. Well, cool. All right. That's it. That's it for this critique. I'm going to stop the recording and then open it up for anyone who wants to throw in a question or two, and then we'll end it. So. This is TWiP.